This is Tiffany. I'm bringing you this presentation about how we develop student skills to work in online multicultural teams through an online competition. So let's go. It all started with our project initiated in 2017. The project title is actually quite long. It is Developing Multidisciplinary and Multicultural Competence through Gamification and Challenge-Based Collaborative Learning. It is a publicly funded project supported by the University Grants Committee of Hong Kong. But other than this matter of fact, I guess it is a bit difficult to digest so many big words in our project title, in which I will summarize it as such. We propose this project to bring out the compound benefits of 4 pedagogies in which we see they have growing significance in the 21st century higher education. As you can see on my screen, that all of them start with a capital letter C. And this is how we have coined the shorter form of our project as the CC Game project. It is led by us, the Hong Kong Baptist University, in partner with the City University of Hong Kong, the Chinese University of Hong Kong, and also the Hong Kong Polytechnic University. Working closely with us, we also have a partner from Australia. It is the Curtin University. So you and me may have the same question in mind now, since it started in 2017. To what extent this project still valid, still relevant to our discussion in year 2020? We know that 21st century issues, they didn't change much in nature. They are global in influence because of market globalization, affecting everyone on different corners of the earth. They are complex, meaning that it cannot be solved by individual efforts. But sadly, it seems that the pandemic or infectious disease at our times are pulling us humans further apart from each other. So what should we expect to work in a team in order to make our world a better place, right? So I guess our team guess this is where the idioms comes in. When all doors are closed, we'll eventually find out our own windows. I trust that everyone here is just like us and me, myself. Never in history, in time, we have been working so closely with our peers and counterparts or colleagues in a full online setting. Now, if you agree with me in this sense, wouldn't we say that it is important to equip our graduates with the skills to work in online diversified teams in order to help them adopt to the new normal, right? So in this sense, our project team thinks that we still provide a promising answers to developing these kind of graduate attributes because we have this model. Firstly, we engage students to solve global problems that requires interdisciplinary knowledge. And we are not asking them to work on themselves, of course. They were asked to work in institutionally, academically, and culturally mixed teams. And to further motivate our younger generation to make our world a better place, basically, we provide them with a gamified learning platform that is conducted fully online so that we can attract participants from as many parts from the world as we could. And our students, we also have a valid taste of what does it feel like to work with strangers from multiple cultural backgrounds. So based on this approach, we have designed and delivered our signature activity in 2019 and 2020, and it is called the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals International eTournament. This competition welcomes all participants from the world as long as they will register with a university from undergraduate level to PhD level. We want to bring out 3 objectives. Firstly, we would like to cultivate our students with SDG awareness. Also, we would like to develop their intercultural competence. And last but not least, we would like to enhance their skills in collaborative learning. So what did they actually do in the eTournament? First off, we will put the participants into teams of 4 to 5, aka they are not allowed to choose their own team members. We also have our code of team formation to ensure that every online team are multicultural and multidisciplinary, with no more than 2 members coming from the same institutions. After the team has been formed, we will provide them with some team training. The participants are allowed to read some learning materials about team building and conflict management on our official website. Other than that, we also encouraged the newly formed teams to get to know their team members by having communication in instant messaging tools such as WhatsApp, WeChat, and Skype. They can also think about their game playing strategies in order to prepare for the next stage. So when it comes to the real tournaments, we will put all the online teams onto the same gaming platform, which is called Pagamo. The Pagamo platform is curated with the theme of territorial expansion, just like most of the RPG games these days. And then for each teams, by answering the SDG related questions on the platform correctly, they will be able to expand their sphere of influence on the game map. So ultimately, at the end of the day, the team that got the largest sphere of influence or territory will be our winner. So I'm sure that after knowing about our approach, you may be interested in knowing about what did we get at the end. So in terms of participants, we are glad to know that there is a significant increase in both the numbers and the diversity of our participants, as you can see in the 2 pie charts. Okay, we almost have a double for the number and also the number of home regions where our students come from. And the majority of them said that they enjoyed the eTournament. These two are the basic data, the quantitative data. We are also happy to know that from what we found out from their written feedback, the qualitative data shows a good alignment with the enjoyment rate. Overall speaking, our participant says that the challenge-based design as well as the team-based design is kind of effective in helping them to acquire the SDG-related knowledge. And we are more thrilled to know that they did care to provide us with solid improvement suggestions. These suggestions comes in all directions. For example, they talk about the game duration. They think that 1 week is too short. They comment on the game format and game mode, which is related to the Pagamo, the design of the Pagamo platform by default. And then they also gave us some good suggestions on how should we set and deliver our questions. They said that we should better give our questions year or reference, as those figure or information may fluctuate from time to time. And last but not least, they did suggest that we may give them more training on team building before they were actually put onto the Pagamo platform. So far, what we have shown you is the perception data. We understand that perception data is, on one hand, necessary, but not enough for a thorough evaluation of the effectiveness of our projects. And that's why we also look into learning analytics. So first off, to assess students' SDG awareness, we look at the accuracy rates of their answers we gather from the Pagamo platform. I'm glad to see that the accuracy rates basically reach between 60 to 70%, meaning that they have considerable knowledge of the SDGs. And interestingly, we found that students are particularly capable in answering questions related to SDG number 12, responsible consumption and production. It also aligns with what we found out from the focus group interview. Our interviewee reflected that joining this eTournament helps them actually to reflect on their own lifestyle. For example, reducing wastage on electricity and food. For our second objective, intercultural competence, we turn to global perspective in infantry. So what did we do specifically? we incorporated the question related to the social interaction domain into our pre and post eTournament survey. So by looking at the change in mean score, we will be able to see whether students found engaging in intercultural communication more comfortable after the competition. Now, trust us, trust me, we were just as surprised as you do when we first see these data, because from both eTournaments, we can see that the mean score dropped. And since this is kind of contradictory to what we found out generally from the written feedback and then the survey, we further investigate this phenomenon in the focus group interview. And what did we find out? We found out that some students has overestimated their ability to engage with cultural others after they've finished the eTournament. They think that they were not as ready as they thought. And in a different direction, but also significant, is that some students commented that they don't find cultural similarity or difference to have played a main role in this eTournament, because after all, the SDGs are world issues that transcend cultural boundaries. So what did we learn all in all by putting together the mean score together with the focus group interview? We are glad that this opportunity helps the students to reflect on their own strengths and weaknesses in terms of intercultural interaction. As for our last objective, collaborative learning, after collating findings from written feedback and focus group interview, and also students sharing from our project's e-symposium, we have identified 3 factors that are important to positive team building. They are firstly, commitment to their role within the team. Secondly, showing mutual encouragement among team members and demonstrating empathy to each other. We also take one step further to analyze their chat history. And we did have some interesting finding. It is that for the top performing team, most of the time they engage their discussion in problem solving, aka how to answer as many SDG questions as possible in order to expand their territories within the limited time. But for the low performing team, they tend to struggle only with identifying their role and responsibility with the team, so that their plan of attack was not as effective as the others. So far, I've brought you the learning analytics and also the data, which shows that we did have some encouraging outcomes and impacts. But still, I would like to share with you 2 more stories, because they symbolize the impacts and outcomes that cannot be summarized with a few words and figures. The first one comes from a female participant from India. And let's see what she said in an e-learning forum 2 years ago, I guess, 1 year ago. Thank you.
Before CCK project, like any other girl from a lower middle class conservative family, I was restricted in many ways. I was supposed to get married immediately after my undergraduation, after CCK project. As I said, I luckily got into this platform where I learned through fun rather than learning with fun. I had an international exposure. It was so proud for me to call myself that I'm globally competent, and it is so wonderful to tell you all that my parents, they're ready to support me in pursuing my higher education.
So I guess the video is quite self-explanatory in itself. We just have one additional note. It is that Priya comes from a college with restriction in her mobility. So we guess, thanks to the online nature of our project, we were able to reach out to her so that she were able to reach out to the world. The second case concerned team collaboration and SDG awareness. The champion team of the eTournament in 2019 decided to carry forward their partnership after the competition. 3 members who come from Hong Kong, Singapore, and Taiwan decide to propose a project initiative on sustainable tourism after the eTournament. Specifically, they liaise with hotels around the world to provide them with reusable toilet kits. They have also developed their own websites to converge ideas and innovations from the industry. So this is close to the end of my presentation. What I want to say is we are planning to develop our eTournament competition into a mobile app by collaborating with the App Resources Center of our own university and then other UGC-funded project led by the Hong Kong Polytechnic University. So to round up, hopefully, if we meet each other for an e-learning conference next time, this is what I will bring to the table. That's all pretty much I want to share today. And if you have any questions, me and my teammate, Mr. Martin Lau, are ready for you. Thank you.
Thank you, Tiffany, for the wonderful presentation. On the clock, we still have around 4 minutes. And I have taken the liberty to do some advertisement for the team because we have side-by-side, one after another project presentation from the CC Game project. So I've just shared the CC Game webpage that Martin has paid tremendous effort in maintaining into the chat room. So for those who are interested in developing or assessing game-based learning, this is the portal that you might be interested to check it out. Even though the project has ended, the efforts are still ongoing, and we see more even exciting development in different aspects of game-based learning in terms of developing new platforms like the app for the Sustainable Development Goal and the CC game and the Sail game development. And we also have other new fronts on the assessment as well from the PortU. So I guess this is looking very promising. Any other question from the floor, by the way? We still have around 2.5 minutes.
So I noticed that the SDG eTournament, right, was I think, of course, it's an initiative by the UN. So was there any collaboration with them for this particular project?
Yes, thank you, Verily. We did sign an MOU with the UNESCO Hong Kong before we started to create the question banks and think through how should we run the project.
Actually, I just wrote a reply to you, Valerie, and you have all the links to all our projects and developers. We look forward to hear from you very soon.
Thank you.
And this is Martin. I just would like to add on to Tiffany's answers. And yes, we have been collaborating with UNESCO Hong Kong Association since the start of the project in 2018. And the main role of UNESCO Hong Kong Association with our project, as CC Game project, was to mainly to help us develop a sizable question bank of SDG questions, as well as before our eTournament, actually we ran a question creation contest to invite university students worldwide to submit their own SDG questions. And the experts at UNESCO Hong Kong are very helpful in reviewing and vetting the questions for us and decide the winners of the competitions.